Welcome back to Alchemy of the Dark Feminine with your host, Grayson Khan. Today, I want to talk about how healing isn't always pretty and how this sacred alchemy looks like discomfort, feeling sicky, maybe it's extreme fatigue, exhaustion, physical discomfort. So, just a couple of days ago, I did my 3-month cord cutting letter, and I usually focus on topics like big aspects of my life. So I usually target my living situation, my financial situation, my career situation, work dynamics, relationships. I would say those are like the biggest main pieces I target, but I also have been focusing on cutting cords and releasing old stuff around the identities that I built myself on, basically. So last time I did cord cutting with releasing this identity that I created out of pain in order to survive my childhood. And I know I think I still have like 3 different survival identities left. But yeah, anyways, I target identities that need to collapse, emotions that need to be released and felt, any kind of low vibrational attachments. So that's pretty general, but I'll usually just throw that in there. Any old trauma loops, old trauma stories, energetic ties, karmic stuff, those kinds of things, imprints. But yeah, it was a cord cutting letter that was front to back. So I knew it was going to be a big cord cutting letter, but I did not know I was going to feel this sicky like just a couple of days later, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, it's just a good sign that I'm doing some spiritual healing at the moment. So I really want to talk about that. Because one of my most listened to podcasts on Apple and Spotify is my episode where I talked about shifting my cellular reality, or something about my throat chakra purging. But yeah, that episode performed like the best on my entire show. And I created that like 2 years ago, I think. So back in 2023. But yeah, anyways, once I did my cord cutting letter, I read it aloud. I lit it on fire, and once the energy transmuted, I felt so much freer on the inside. Like space had just opened up. I didn't feel so dense. I was like, oh, that was nice. That was so good. That was so relieving. Fast forward to Monday night, which was the 30th of June. So just a couple days ago, my throat area, my throat nexus started swelling up, started getting irritated. I started to get sinus pressure, feeling coughy and sneezy, just typical cold symptoms. And I was like, fuck, great, here we go. And at first I thought I was getting sick, but then I realized that it was an energetic purge. What I'm going through right now is called an energetic purge. So I want to discuss the energetics of cord cutting. You're not just severing emotion, you're dissolving neural loops, energetic ties, contracts, karmic echoes, and often family field imprints. And so what happens is your nervous system may perceive all of that as a death, and so it responds somatically with grief, inflammation, mucus, fatigue, and even immune shifts. And what's really crazy is almost every day I would say, like, I get on the YouTube app, and I always look for different binaural beats to listen to like throughout my day or going to work or just to fall asleep to. And the one that popped up was about healing your immune system, healing like any sickness or disease. And it's crazy because every time I get suggested a video like that, it's always for something that I need like in that moment or just a couple days later. And I was like, I saw that and I was like, nah, I'm not going to get sick. And here we are. Oh my gosh, so crazy how that happens. But yeah, you're literally removing that energetic anchor. And so your body has to recalibrate. And so I want to talk about why the throat and the sinuses react. So I like to focus on the throat nexus, which is where your pharynx, your larynx, your throat, all of that meets. Your sinuses meet there. And something non-physical, something cool I learned is the throat nexus is the multi-dimensional bridge between your heart, your womb, and your voice. And so when you cut a cord, especially around identity, family, old love, or validation, your throat bears that weight. And so some of the symptoms that can show up are a sore throat, mucus drainage, lump in your throat, sinus pressure, sinus drainage, coughing, voice cracking, sore jaw or ears, emotional waves of sadness, silence, and guilt. And anyways, I want to talk about how these are exit portals. Excuse me. These are exit portals for energy that's been trapped in performance, people-pleasing, self-abandonment, or entanglement. So, if you also grew up with a malignant hybrid narcissistic mother, you more than likely have these energies stuck in your throat nexus, and you also have different energetic grids, control-based matrix grids that are laying over that area as well. So I'm going to get into that a little bit later, but I want to talk about what you're actually releasing. So you're actually releasing old survival strategies. If I disconnect from myself, they'll love me. Or how about ancestral programs? Be silent to stay safe. Or even unspoken contracts. I'll carry your guilt if you love me. So your body, even though your conscious mind may not remember all of this, your body does. And your body remembers the cost of those contracts. And now it's releasing the emotional residue from it. So the best way you can support your physical body after the severance, after doing all this energy clearing and healing on yourself, is obviously drinking hot tea, so any warm herbal teas. I personally have a hard time drinking hot tea when my throat starts acting up like this. Like, I really hate it. I really like to eat cold ice cream or a hot chocolate, or I did make myself a dandelion chai yesterday, but I couldn't drink it. I was like, nah, like I don't want to. I don't know, I hate things touching my throat when it starts acting up like this. But steaming with essential oils, I love doing this. So using hot towels, shower steamers, hanging some fresh eucalyptus in your shower. You can go to Trader Joe's or really any grocery store, healthy grocery store at least, and buy eucalyptus for like $3 or $4 or whatever, and hang it in your shower. And also do like an essential oil diffuser. I love those too. Another great way is resting. So if you feel like sleeping half the day and you're like, damn, it's like 9 a.m., I shouldn't go back to bed. No, fuck that. Programming, if your body needs to sleep on your day off, you better sleep on your day off, okay? You gotta do what's best for you. You gotta be selfish in the best way possible. Some other great tips are sweating, taking baths, stretching your neck and jaw. I just did some yoga on my balcony this morning, and yeah, I felt like so much better after I did that, and it was really healing. So and you can also do some energetic healing as well, so maybe throat tapping or exhaling the ha sound out your throat, writing I release letters. You can do some sound healing, humming, toning, singing. Okay, I personally, like, when I get sicky from doing energy healing, the last thing I want to do is more energy healing on myself, because I'm just like, oh God, like, I don't want to make it any worse. So, yeah, anyways, and then the emotional aspect of it is cry if you feel like you need to cry, wail, like that kind of crazy, intense cry where people are kind of terrified that you're crying. Whispering your truth out loud, letting yourself grieve the energetic role you once held. Okay. And then here's a great affirmation that you can say to yourself, like while you're feeling sicky, even after you're feeling sicky, or just every day that feels good for you. And you can say, every time I clear what is not mine, my voice returns to me. Every time I cut a false tie, I come home to my truth. Because that's really what it's about. It's about reclaiming who you really are and coming home to yourself, and basically giving yourself permission to feel, embody, and be in your natural, authentic, high vibrational state of being that your narcissistic parent did not want you to be in. They did not want you to feel joy. They did not want you to be happy. They did not want to see you thrive and see you successful. They wanted to see you be miserable. They wanted to see you have no emotional freedom. They wanted you to walk on eggshells around them because they couldn't regulate themselves. And they had major control and just crazy psychological issues. But anyways, I want to talk about really quick the throat nexus. So that multidimensional communication gateway, which connects your truth, expression, safety, visibility, and embodiment, which I believe is what narcissistic mothers fucking target, where they try to suppress your voice and your autonomy. But anyways, I want to talk about the control-based matrix grids that can show up there, like the main ones that are interfering with that throat nexus. So really quick, you have the perfection grid, so this belief that I must speak perfectly or not at all. And so you can have this fear of saying the wrong thing, over editing, shame after expressing, this deep fear of being misunderstood. And so the energetic impact that happens from this sitting there is the freeze response in the throat, sinus congestion, and hypervigilance in expression. The next grid is the obedience grid. Your belief is, if I stay quiet, I stay safe. So the effects of this is people-pleasing, silencing self around authority, loss of identity in relationships. Your energetic impact is blocked jaw, chronic sore throat, and ability to speak your truth. Oh my God, I literally went through this. This gives me like college day energies when I was in university. Anyways, the next one is the visibility trauma grid. So this belief that being seen is dangerous. This is typically often ancestral or past life based, but it could also be this lifetime based. But for a lot of us, especially women, it runs deep in our bloodline and in our DNA and everything else. So the effects of this is your voice trembling, shrinking online, avoiding being witnessed in power. And so the energetic impact is throat tightness, sinus blockage, energy collapse in public spaces. Okay, let's see. There are 4 more grids. I'm not really feeling called on this one. I want to talk about this one, the surveillance grid. So the surveillance grid is this belief that someone's always watching, judging, or waiting to punish me. And so the effects of this is masking, rehearsing everything, fear of cancellation or exile. And the energetic impact is clenched jaw, sinus pressure, throat lump, anxiety flares. And then the last one I want to talk about is, there's obviously more. I could go on and on, but I really just wanted to highlight these in particular. So the last one is the wounded feminine grid. So your belief is my softness or sensitivity makes me weak or annoying. And so the effects of this is over intellectualizing, muting emotional tones, fear of crying or being quote unquote too much. The energetic impact of this is loss of vocal tone variation, disconnection from womb throat channel. So interesting, so fascinating. But anyways, so as you release these grids and as they loosen, your nervous system starts purging what was keeping you small, hidden, silenced, and even stuck. And obviously that purge may come through the sinuses, the throat, or the chest, or all of the above. And it's so not fun to experience that, but you do feel so much better once all that energy does clear. And anyway, I've always believed that, I should say once I started waking up to my non-physical nature, that when you do get sick, your body is literally purging out so much bullshit from the non-physical. And it only makes sense, right? Because it's dis-ease. There is a state of dis-ease in the body, and it's that energy, that toxic energy that was formed and projected onto you by your toxic parent. So anyways, really wanted to shed some light on that and bring awareness to that information, because maybe it might bring you some clarity or some answers or give you some kind of guidance and direction. And maybe you're not going to keep running to the doctor every time you get sick like I used to do. Every time my throat started acting up, I was like, great, here we go, strep throat again. But now, every time I went and got a strep throat test, it was always negative. Except for a couple times. There were a couple times where I actually genuinely did have strep throat. And there are non-physical reasons why you do have strep throat, and why you will come into contact with certain things in your physical reality for that to reflect and to show the bacteria show up in the throat, because you contracted to have that interaction so that you could purge out that stuff. But anyway, super fascinating. But yeah, I can now tell the difference when my throat is like in extreme pain, like strep throat, versus I'm just going through an energetic purge. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to always take a strep test, but you know, when you're like starting to feel your cold like symptoms and you freak out and you're in fear mode, you're in survival mode, like that's when you need to like take a second and step back and go, okay, maybe this is not what I think it is. Like, let me just sit with this for a day or two, and then if it gets worse, then I'll take action. But, you know, if it's like almost gone, if it feels like it's going away, starting going after a couple days, then you're like, oh, I'm good, I'm chilling. This was just like an energetic purge, a spiritual healing. So, anyways, I love you guys so much, and yeah, I have been spending a lot of time on TikTok lately. So I'm also focusing on building up my Instagram again, to get more visibility and more, receive more questions, comments, and channel more things for you guys to talk about and activate you with. So anyway, I love y'all so much, and I will see you in next Wednesday's video for our next Wednesday deep dive. And if you guys have any requests, let me know. DM me, comment on my stuff. Say, Grayson, I would love if you talked about this. I would love if you did a episode on this healing or whatever. Don't be scared, guys. Let me know. You guys are my community. I love you. Okay? I'll see y'all next week. Bye for now.